Evan Knappen.
And I'm Teddy Knappen.
And welcome to Gun Lawyer. So 2026 is just about upon us. And what's really great to do at the beginning of the year is to take a look at your own security for yourself and your family as we start this new year. And as you know, it's dangerous out there, and us, we're gun owners and we believe in defense and self-defense. And there are things we need to do that include guns, but also don't include guns when it comes to evaluating your own personal security, which is something that we all should be very concerned about. So when you want to think about your security, particularly in your home and through your life, there are two ways to divide security. You have what is electronic security, and then what we might call physical security. So electronic security would include lighting, alarm systems, cameras, that kind of security that falls into, surveillance and warnings and illumination really is reliant upon electronic security. In terms of physical security, we have gun safes and other safes, right? Dogs are a form of physical security, right? Locks, good bars on windows where it may be needed. And, of course, our firearms are the last resort of our physical security. And the idea is to have an excellent combination of both physical and electronic security. And you want to cover all the bases to give you a full security umbrella. And of course, combined into all this is your mental state. And for that, I would highly recommend Jeff Cooper's The Principles of Personal Protection. And you'll gain insight into just your daily life, what you need to do to have awareness and those principles. But these areas of electronic and physical security are very critical, especially today. And also, even electronic security, a lot of it combines computers and our cell phones too, as well. And so with what's available today, it's kind of amazing because it is very reasonable today to have camera surveillance. I mean, a number of decades ago, if you wanted to have cameras on your property, protecting your home, etc., it was tens of thousands of dollars. It was basically not within reach of average people to have that kind of surveillance. But now, with the advent of the internet and with these smaller, amazingly effective cameras, particularly Ring and other companies, you can absolutely have great, actually camera surveillance better than decades ago with the equipment that existed then, and for just a fraction of the price. I mean, every person should have at least a Ring doorbell or some equivalent to that, so you know who's coming to your door, and it films both motion and those individuals that may approach, and not just individuals, animals and cars and other things. And this is a really great advance in modern day technology, not just in what it does, but in the amazing reasonable cost that you can get it done and accomplished for. Of course, there are other cameras that can work into your floodlights that also record and are motion driven and part of the system. The alarm system itself, which is great, very easy to self-install and put in a Ring alarm system, and they work very well. And it's, to not have an alarm system in your house with the availability of just a Ring alarm system or something else for electronic, other brands too that are out there, Simply Safe and others, is really a serious mistake, because you can get yourself and your family electronic protection at a very reasonable cost today. I mean, look, decades ago, you had to hire a professional alarm company. They had to hardwire. They had to do all the switches, all that. What they have available today is amazing and very effective and can give you that added peace of mind. And you can combine it with the cameras, both inside cameras, outside cameras, and other motion detectors. All kinds of things are out there that you can do yourself pretty darn easily and give yourself the protection. You want to combine that protection with good lighting. Lighting is also very important. Lighting helps discourage theft and other bad people. It illuminates them, and also the camera records them, and it can also give you advance warning of individuals that come into your perimeter by both the camera surveillance and by the alarm itself. I mean, you go to sleep at night, you have your cameras, you turn on your perimeter of your alarm, you're protecting yourself and your family, and you know that then the physical security becomes important, where you have the good locks, you have your valuables stored in safes, and you have hopefully your dog or dogs, and you have your firearm. And when you have that gamut of protection, both electronic and physical, you know that you're maximizing your ability to defend yourself and your loved ones. And these things today can be accomplished at a very reasonable cost. And there's really no reason that average person cannot have security that decades ago would have been tens of thousands of dollars. And this is the new world. And not only that, it combines into apps on your phone. You're able to control your alarm away from your home, turning it on and off. You can see what activity is going on. You're able to look at the cameras. You don't have to even be at your house, and you can surveil and see and get notice. It is really an amazing time when you consider what's available in electronic security and in physical security, with the better locks, enforcers that can be added to doors, things that can be not even as obvious, but adding tremendous security. And this is a mindset, folks. It's a mindset for the new year. You should do your own security evaluation of your home and your property. Look to see if you have bushes or trees that block the view from the road, where persons can break in through a window and not be seen. Look at your lighting. Take a look. Is it lit up well? Look at your cameras and the angles and areas that are covered by your outdoor cameras, by your floodlight cameras. Look at where you have cameras inside your home. Now, you want to be aware of your own privacy, and that's very important. But there are places in your home that you don't frequent all the time, where basements, garages, etc., where you can have cameras to even provide interior protection should an intruder come in. These are things to consider in your full picture of security. And if you're able to have a dog, let me tell you, dogs can make a huge difference. In surveys they've done on felons and criminals and such, they ask what they're most afraid of. Well, the number one thing that criminals are afraid of is the armed homeowner. That's right. Number one thing they're afraid of is a homeowner with a gun. So right there is an important deterrent factor. The second thing that felons, criminals, etc., are most afraid of is two dogs, believe it or not. 2 dogs really freaks them out. That gets their attention. But even having 1 dog is very important because dogs bark. Dogs are keenly aware. Their senses are better than yours and mine, superior. And dogs are an alert system. And I know of cases, actual cases, where individuals were looking to do hot robbery and even worse, commit murder, just to randomly kill. And they went to homes, and homes that had dogs, they avoided. And they hit the home that didn't have a dog. And it wouldn't have mattered if the home they came to had a little yapper that was barking. They avoided that home just because of the dog being there as an alert system. So dogs are very important, very critical. So I would highly recommend having a dog. And the other thing is dogs, they are loyal. And depending on your type of dog, most of the dogs designed for security will happily give their life to save yours. And dogs can buy the time in between the bad guys wanting to harm you and your family for you to get to your gun, to have the ultimate protection. So these are things you need to consider when you look at your own security and your own physical security of yourself and your family. And at the beginning of the year, it's a good time to think about it and figure, how secure are you? Ask yourself, how secure are you? When you go to sleep at night, do you feel secure? Do you have camera surveillance? Do you have alarm surveillance? Do you have a dog on the lookout? Do you have your firearms? You know how to use them? Are you trained? And do other members of your family understand how to use these things as well? Think about these things. I want all my listeners to be safe and protected. And these are things that can help you and may make the difference. So stay safe in 26, folks. It's going to be an interesting year, that's for sure. And with the big, beautiful bill kicking in, and with no more NFA tax, and with very interesting court cases proceeding, we may be able to enhance our security even more with guns and accessories that the Second Amendment oppressors have tried to stop us from having. So stay tuned. Teddy, what do you have for us today?
Well, as you know, press checks are always free. And this is something kind of came up as I was flipping through. This is actually an issue we kind of talked about, the whole idea of defensive property. So this was out of Pennsylvania, where from Kinship News, by Petrina Rudovic, where the Pennsylvania House passed a bill saying pets are family members, not objects. I'm not joking.
Well, pets are normally viewed as property.
Yeah.
Now they're declaring pets to be family members.
Yep. The article talks
Can
about
I take them as a deduction on my income tax?
Well, this is I know this is the thing though. It opens up that gate. Well, may just might, because in Pennsylvania, the House bill passed a new bill classifying pets as living beings that are generally regarded as cherished family members in the bill.
Family members
during divorce proceedings. There's the caveat.
Oh,
where
okay.
it's House Bill 92 passed with 121 over 82 going for the Senate. The argument was that the statute for special category for companion animals, where judges would then be legally required to consider the welfare of the pets when it comes to which individual gets custody.
Well,
it's literally
we
taking
get
who gets the dog.
emotionally attached to our dogs. We get very emotionally attached.
But it takes the whole stage of who gets the dog to a whole new level.
Yeah, I guess it does.
Well,
maybe you can request visitation for your dog. But the problem is, it could be beneficial because if it's viewed that way and gun owners defend their dog from harm, it's actually may down the road maybe raise it to the same as protecting a human. So that given how emotionally attached we are to our dogs, that defending our dog, but it also, basically it's John Wick. It's the entire premise of John Wick, huh? When it comes to that, as to your dog being harmed.
Well, I look at it as the slippery slope, where they say it's a fallacy, but in actuality, just because the amount of things that have opened the floodgates, cut to transgender men can become women, you cut to any subject where it's like, well, they didn't look the unintended consequences of these actions, where right now it opens that door where could dogs not be considered property, and could you defend the dog in a self-defense? And funny enough, right out of USA Carry, where it was a whole article by Brian Armstrong, can you use deadly force to protect your pet? And it was one of those where he brings up a variety of scenarios where, generally speaking, if someone's attacking your dog, you can't just shoot them.
Right, because
As
the dog's
much-
property, and yet maybe we'll see that turn around if dogs start being treated as family members under the law. But it does open it up to, well, if we start treating them as people, then how can, what if you have to put your dog down? Like, you can't take your kid to have him put down, right? Because that's a person. But a dog or a cat, etc. And by the way, why are we excluding cats? Do cats get covered under this too? Cats aren't going to be considered as family members?
It says pets, so I guess dogs and cats.
So
Pets.
wait a minute. So any pet?
Any pet, like my pet rock, my pet scorpion,
See, now it starts to open up. Gerbils,
my
snakes.
pet horse.
Right.
It's one of those, but
My pet
I look-
alligator.
however, I
my
do
my
look
comfort
at-
gator.
However, I do look at some of the positives where I know we had this whole back and forth on the right of defending property, where I think this could open things up for that, where people could have the right in using lethal force to defend property, because it's one of those I would like to see them iron that out more. And even in the article, he was bringing up scenarios where you could have that situation where he brought, like, a man's walking down, you see a dog attacking your dog, where you have that idea where you're technically trying to defend property from the, you can shoot like wild animals attacking your dog.
Well, some states, they have laws allowing you to shoot dogs that are wild, that are feral, that attack deer, etc. Some of
Yeah.
that's out there. But, normally, though, they're viewed as property. But if we're going to start giving them status as humans, that can cut both ways, and it can be problematic too, because if individuals then shoot a dog, they may
I know
face penalties as if they shot a person. So
I know
this
your
is,
very first case. This is the exact issue, actually.
Exactly.
the-
My very first
your-
case, and yeah, well, I don't know, because I haven't discussed that in a while. Maybe I should actually tell that story here, because it is a classic of one of the earliest.
A tale as old as
Cases.
time, one might say.
Yeah, where this is in another state other than New Jersey, but a client was shooting coyotes out his bedroom window at 3:00 in the morning over a bait and a light, which was perfectly legal in the place where he was doing it, believe it or not. But unfortunately, there was a dog that belonged to a neighbor that lived not really that close, but the dog apparently that night decided to run with the homeboys, with the coyotes, and inadvertently my client shot the dog thinking it was a coyote. And what he would do is he'd shoot the coyotes and leave them there so that other coyotes came and he'd shoot them, and he didn't go out there to retrieve dead coyotes. Well, anyway, that night after shooting the dog, unbeknownst to him, there's a bang on his door. Woman's there holding her dog that's shot. And she's like, "You shot my dog! You shot my dog!" And she's like, "Oh my God, I had no clue. I had no idea. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." And she's all bent about it. I mean, I can understand, who wants to have their dog shot. But on the other hand, she shouldn't be letting her dog run around loose. So she calls the police. The police come. The police say, "Hey, lady, we've told you a half a dozen times not to let your dog run loose. So, too bad, your dog's shot, but it's not criminal. Goodbye." Well, she's not to be deterred, and she calls Fish and Game. Well, it so happens that there was a Fish and Game law that had relatively recently come out about shooting a dog, and that if you shot a dog while hunting or any other way, you had to require to call it in that the dog was shot. And anyway, this Fish and Game officer decides to be the white knight for this woman who's hysterical and charges my client with shooting the dog and not reporting it, etc. Now, of course, it was reported because the police had come, right? So it was reported, but didn't stop them. So anyway, the charges move into the municipal court. I bring a motion not only based on the facts that he arguably did have it get reported because police came, but also that this law was in effect a violation of the Fifth Amendment because it was requiring self-incrimination in mandating this reporting. And when I put this through, the Fish and Game officer, who in this state they would prosecute their own cases, a couple things. He had actually gotten sick and tired of this woman who was just incessantly hysterical and just couldn't get over this. And he had, I think, had enough of that and realized that we were in a constitutional area on this new law and that there actually was arguably a reporting. So he dismissed the case without us having to actually have the hearing. And so with the case dismissed, I walk out of the court with my client and I'm going to explain to him how he can get his gun back from the Fish and Game officer. And this woman comes running out of the courtroom. She's at the top of the courthouse steps. She has a dozen pictures of the dog in her fists. She's waving them around and she's screaming and yelling, and she comes running down the steps and she starts pounding my client on his chest with these photos of the dog and screaming, "You killed my dog, you killed my..." And he kind of falls backwards and I'm there and I just try to give her a command to stop. I say, "Stop, stop that, back off," right? Trying to just command her to stop, at which time she turns and she points her finger at me with a fistful of dog pictures and she says, "And you, his motherfucking fat attorney." At which time I said, "How dare you call me an attorney?" And right then and there, the bailiffs grabbed her and arrested her and took her away. My client, I'm saying to him, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And because he's still on the ground, he goes, "Yeah, I'm okay, man. I'm just laughing so hard I can't get up." So that is the famous dog shooting case. True story. And anyway, well, Teddy, we'll see what happens about dogs taking on human status. But I want to mention our good friends at We Shoot.
New voting block.
Yeah, could be. I wouldn't be surprised if, since the Democrats are losing their illegal alien voting base, maybe this is part of their plan. Maybe we got to get dogs to vote. But who knows? Dogs are pretty smart. They probably wouldn't vote Democrat, except for maybe some poodles. I don't know. Sometimes, so they're pretty smart too. Maybe they'd go the right way.
A lot of golden
So
retrievers.
yeah, well, yeah. What do you think about that? Well, Goldens are pretty good. I don't know. I don't want to be here insulting.
They're very
dog
loving,
breeds.
but they're very stupid.
They are.
So
Oh my God! Do you know how much hate mail you're going to get for saying that? We love all dogs.
I'm not
We
saying I
love
don't
them.
love them. I'm just saying, like, golden
Well,
retrievers.
they better
are
not
so
be
loving, but they're
only
like,
Democrat golden retrievers.
Yeah.
We will not.
the German shepherds, though, those were crazy smart. Where they were like
Oh,
Leo, he would
yeah, well,
open the dog. He would open
But
the
the
door.
Dems will
like-
claim that the German shepherds are fascist, racist,
of course.
extreme right. I could just hear it. Oh God, this is going to get off the charts. Well, let me mention our good friends at We Shoot, who is, of course, our favorite range where you and me, Teddy, we shoot there, we train there, we got our Sea Care certificates there and lots of other good training. Great pro shop, great range. We're located right there in Lakewood, New Jersey, right off the Parkway, easy access. Great folks, great environment, state-of-the-art range, great pro shop, and a fantastic website. Go to weshootusa.com. You can check out their website. They have all kinds of great specials and sales, and they send out news alerts and bulletins letting you know about all kinds of special deals. And actually, their emails are excellent even. Their communication is excellent with WeShoot. And WeShoot members, they love WeShoot. And I know you'll love it too. So check out WeShoot, pay him a visit. You'll see why we shoot there, and you'll see why it's one of the finest ranges and best resources for gun owners right there in Central Jersey. WeShootUSA.com. And I also want to mention our friends at Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs. They are the premier gun rights defenders for New Jersey. They're there in the courts, fighting as we speak, fighting right now in that Third Circuit Court of Appeals on carry killer, assault firearm, magazines. It's great. We're going to see some awesome results. I'm very optimistic here. We're going to finally see New Jersey put in its place by the judiciary. This is great stuff. We can thank President Trump for that, because many of the judges that he has been, both his first term and second term, they're making all the difference when it comes to enforcing and protecting our Second Amendment rights. And the association is there litigating in federal court. Also, full-time paid lobbyist in Trenton. Make sure you join the Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs, ANJRPC.org. ANJR is the premier organization, folks. And when you belong to them, you're going to get email alerts as to the shenanigans going on in Trenton, as to the progress in the litigation, and you're going to be on top of things and be able to take action as needed. So please join. Make sure you're a member. And let me also shamelessly promote my book, New Jersey Gun Law. It's the Bible of New Jersey gun law. And if you don't have a copy, you're at a severe disadvantage, because it is the best anti-GOFU medicine there is my book. My book is written to protect law-abiding gun owners, to teach them what they need to know to try to remain law-abiding in the extremely challenging state of the Democratic People's Republic of New Jersey. So get your copy of New Jersey Gun Law by going to evannappen.com, evannappen.com. It's a big orange book. It's over 500 pages. It's 120 topics, all question and answer. And scan the front cover QR code there and join my private subscriber base. It's private, and you will get email updates. You'll be able to get access to the archives. You'll get email alerts from me as the law changes. go to evannappen.com. Get your copy today. So, speaking of GoFus, what do we have this week for GoFu? Well, I'm going to tell you. We were talking about security at the beginning of the show. But, you got to be careful with your own security because you don't want to have GoFu. If you're using cameras, you want to be careful about your own privacy. You want to be careful about what you film. And yet, sometimes by not having cameras, you can be put at a disadvantage, and that can be a GoFu. So the importance of your cameras can help you in a situation of self-defense because it can demonstrate that you were justified, but at the same time, if you acted wrongly, it could be a problem. But since you are only going to act properly, it will end up documenting in video what occurred. And this has made the difference in cases that I've had where there have been Ring and other video that exculpated, that's the fancy legal word for essentially proving or demonstrating innocence, exculpating the client from certain charges. So the GoFu can be a GoFu if it's not used properly, but in this instance, the GoFu might become the opposite, but an advantage when used properly. So consider that when dealing with your security situation, and think about the scenarios that you may have to deal with in how you place and distribute your cameras and your alarm, and how you take care of your guns and your dog, and how you maintain physical security, both securing your firearms when they're not being used, etc. These are all important considerations as you begin this new year so that we can all stay safe. This is Evan Nappen and Teddy Nappen reminding you that gun laws don't protect honest citizens from criminals. They protect criminals from honest citizens.
Gun Lawyer is a Counterthink media production. The music used in this broadcast was managed by Cosmo Music, New York, New York. Reach us by emailing evan@gun.lawyer. The information and opinions in this broadcast do not constitute legal advice. Consult a licensed attorney in your state.